Are you someone who never knows how much money is in your account and pray to God every time you swipe your credit card or debit card? Well, I'm here to make that a thing of the past. Just stay tuned until after the music. You're about to listen to a great episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast. Within this episode, my hope is that you obtain something that will help you find your success. So grab a pen, get your paper, your favorite snack or drink, and really listen to what I have to say. I truly believe it can be what you need to get you to your next level in life. So grab a seat and enjoy the ride, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to another episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. This is going to be another great episode to help you along your journey to your success. And with that, this episode, I will be talking about creating and sticking to your budget. But before I get into the main topic of this episode, even before I get into the story time of this episode, I have two quick announcements that I want to make. So the first announcement is we are coming up on the end of season 3 of the Lazenby Experience podcast. Including this episode, we have 5 more episodes for you, or I have 5 more episodes for you that will help you along your financial journey to your financial success. And I'm super excited about these episodes. And that kind of leads me to my second announcement, is that the next 4 episodes, so the 4 episodes after this one, will be me interviewing 4 guests about different financial situations or different financial topics to help you along your journey. So we're going to be talking about life insurance. We're going to be talking about the stock market. We're going to be talking about the banking system. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff when it comes to your finances, so you can be successful no matter where you are in life. So let's get started with this episode. And let's start this episode with a little story time. So I've been keeping track of a personal budget for quite a few years now. I have an episode about budgeting and what I use, and I believe it's the first episode of season 1. So my very first episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast is about budgeting and how to create a budget. Now, this episode is only available on YouTube because it has a visual component to it that is necessary for that episode. So if you want to go back, you can go check it out. If you go to my YouTube page, the Lazenby Experience podcast, and you search for creating a budget, it will pop up. It is actually a video podcast because, like I said, it has a visual component to it that is necessary for the video or necessary for the episode. So for the last few years, I've been keeping a budget, and I got to really understand my spending habits and was really surprised about how much money I actually brought home each year and how much it increased every year. I also keep track of all my loans and investments so I can see where they stand and probably do an update once a month with those. Now, I'm not perfect with my budget and I still have some growing to do, but throughout my time of keeping track of my finances, it has helped me become a better steward of my finances. Now, I know exactly what's coming in and what's going out. And if anything looks funny, I can report it to my bank. And that actually has happened a few times where I had to talk to my bank. And it wasn't just with my checking account. It was actually with some of my credit cards too, where somehow people got a hold of it and spent more money than I actually spent. And luckily I was able to get it taken care of. And that's because I was able to keep track of my finances with my budget. Now, every year I make an update to my personal Excel sheet, which is what I use to keep track of my finances. And by the end of this episode, if you would like to get a copy of my Excel sheet that I use, my most updated one. Of course, it will be free. You can email me at lasandbeexperience.gmail.com. And I can sit and write over to you and then answer any questions you may have about it. Now, that first episode where I talk about creating a budget, that's probably version 1 or version 2 of my Excel sheet, and it goes into depth about what how to use that Excel sheet. But if you want to use my most updated version of my Excel sheet, the one I use every day now, you can definitely get a copy of that just by sending me a quick email. But now let's get into the main topic for this episode. Now, I must start off by saying this episode is what I think of budgeting and what works for me. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a CPA. I'm not any of that. So as always, take everything I say with a grain of salt. So let's first start off talking about the importance of a personal budget. Now, a budget, in my opinion, is something you should start with as soon as you start making money for yourself. You could be cutting grass in your neighborhood, you can be starting your first job at McDonald's, or you can be receiving monetary gifts for your birthday. And actually, I give those examples because those are things that I actually did growing up. I started cutting grass around the neighborhood. I got my first job at McDonald's. Unfortunately, I didn't start keeping track of my money until later on in life, but I feel like if I would have at that time, I would be a lot further on my financial journey. Now, of course, the younger you are, the less you'll have to worry about when it comes to bills and expenses, but you at least start getting into your head how to manage your money. Now, when it comes to the word budget, I think a lot of people think it only refers to how to not spend your money, which is completely wrong. Now, when it comes to a budget, I think of it the exact opposite. How do I spend my money and how my spending habits affect my everyday life? Now, yes, you can still have and you should still have fun and go on vacations while keeping the budget. But with a budget, you are forcing yourself to make better decisions ahead of time instead of after the fact. Now, the word budget in finances is just like the word diet in fitness. You think it's about taking away fun out of your life, where it's really about how you can change or better your current lifestyle to have the fun times last longer and with less stress and worry. The more control you have over your finances, the better decisions you can make regarding your finances. And the starting step to having control over them is to keep track of them, aka a budget. Now, having a budget, especially at a young age, will also help you start building wealth. No, I'm not wealthy yet, at least financially. But since I know how much money is coming in and how much money is going out, I also know how much I can put towards investing in my future without worrying about if I need it later. Now, in this month of May, you're going to hear from one of my friends about building wealth. And one way he talks about building wealth is through life insurance. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about or listen about the topic of life insurance, but that's one easy way to get started with building wealth for you and your family on a budget. Now, because of the discussion I had with my friend, I now have my own life insurance set up. And the reason I even was able to get life insurance is because I know through my budget how much is going in and how much is going out, which lets me know how much I can invest in life insurance. And with life insurance, just a quick note, you're going to get a lot more with my guest who talks about it. But life insurance is not a one size fits all. So you don't have to try to get the most amount of life insurance. If you get some life insurance, you can still get some benefits from it. But I'm going to let my guest talk about it when his episode comes up. Now, I also have another friend of mine who talks about trading stocks and Forex, another two buzzwords you might not like to hear about. But those are two other options you can have to start building wealth. But again, only can happen if you have a handle on your finances. Now, I personally haven't started doing any trading yet, but I do want to start doing some trading, at least getting my feet wet with it once I reach some other financial goals of mine. And guess how I'm keeping track of my financial goals? You guessed it, my personal budget. Now that we know the importance of a personal budget and how you can still have or build wealth on a budget, now let's talk about where and how to get started on building your budget. Now understand, for this part to work, you must be honest with yourself and record everything you spend and bring in. So the first place you want to start is your bank statement and receipts you may have. Now you can use an app, you can use an Excel sheet, you can use my Excel sheet, or even paper and pen to get started with writing down all your expenses you had for the last calendar month. So if you're starting in August right now, you might want to start back in July and record all your expenses for that month. Now, I don't have any recommendations for apps because I have my own personal Excel sheet to keep track of my budget, but I'm pretty sure there are quite a few out there that can help you keep track of your budget. Now, I also think the more automated you have it, at least at the beginning when you first starting your budget, will probably not be the best for you because you could potentially forget about it. But that's just my opinion. I think when you first start building your budget, I think you should know exactly everything that's going in. You should know exactly everything that's going out. And as you grow and be more mature with your finances, you can potentially make it more automated where where you don't have to do all the heavy work. But again, that's just my opinion. Now, for that same full month, you can categorize everything that you spent. You should have your rent or your mortgage. You should have your car note if you have a car note, your food, gas, electric bill, internet, phone bill, individual subscriptions, anything that you have paid or spent money on for that month. You should have written it down and categorized it in those different categories. Now, you should also track when those monthly bills are due every month so you know when they need to be paid or when they will be coming out of your account if you have them on automatic payments. Again, this will help you be better stewards of your money and know where it's going to be, when it's going to be there, so you can make sure you have that money in your account when it's needed. Now, I also have a column for miscellaneous items I might not get every month or spend money on every month, like an oil change or purchases, Amazon purchases, or clothing. Now, this should be specific for you. So if you don't have a car note, don't put a column for a car note. Or if you do buy clothes every month, make sure you have a column in your budget or your line item in your budget for clothes. And that's everything you need to know about your what you should have in your expenses. Now that you have all of your expenses together, let's get all of your income you made for that same month and put it in categories as well. It could be from your regular 9 to 5. It can be from all the side hustles you may have. It can be your child support that you get every month. It can be your EBT. Anything that comes into your account, you should be keeping track of. So you can have a column in your income for each of those categories. You can also have a column in your income or under your income for miscellaneous money that doesn't come every month, like money you might get for your birthday, or maybe a bonus you get at work, or even your taxes that you get once a year. You can have a miscellaneous item and you can put that money or categorize that money in that column. Now, once you have all that information together, take what you made and subtract it from what you spent. Now, if that result is negative, that means you spent more than you made, in that month, and you need to figure out, or you need to look at what you can either cut out from your expenses or what you can add to your income, or if you can, do both. Now, if that result is positive, that means you made more money than you spent and may be able to start using that extra money to start saving and building wealth. Now, the good thing about a budget, whether you're in the negative or the positive, is that you can change it, and you should change it every month, depending on your expenses for that month. Now, this is so you can adjust it, so you can make the necessary changes for yourself to make sure you get to the green or you stay in the green. So let's say for 1 month you spent $600 on food and you want to start saving. So you set your next month to try to spend only $500 on food so you can actively save $100. Now, I say actively because you should physically or virtually on your virtual wallet, if your bank has it, move that money to your savings account and not just leave it in your checking account and say I didn't spend it. Actively moving it makes it a savings and not just extra money in your account. You then do this at the beginning of every month, and you begin to be able to see your personal spending habits, again, both good and bad, and have a starting point to make the changes you need to make so you can start saving and investing the way you want to. Now, if you're new to this or new to budgeting, after the first month or two, or even maybe after the first week or two, you may start losing focus or start slacking on keeping track of your budget. So here are some ways to help you stay on track with your budget. Now, I think one of the easiest and maybe even fun ways to stay focused on your budget is to treat it like a game or a competition. Seeing yourself do better every month makes you want to keep going. It just takes that first step, which sometimes can be the hardest. And the only person you should be competing against is your past self. So don't worry about anybody else's financial journey. Don't worry about nobody else's money problems. Don't worry about anybody else except you and what you want to accomplish. Now, another way to stay focused is to take it day by day and only look at the big picture, your monthly budget, once a month when setting up your budget and your goals for that month. Sometimes looking at the bigger picture too much can make the task look unattainable and make it easier for you want to give up. An example of taking it day by day, like when it comes to food, take how much you plan to spend that month and then divide it by the number of days or weeks if you go grocery shopping once a week for your food, and focus on spending just that amount. And now, if you need to, you can use cash. So when the money is gone or when the cash is out of your hand, you know you shouldn't be spending any more money on food or on that item. Now, if you have someone or if you have people you trust, you can also get an accountability partner. Now, in my opinion, I think this should be someone who also plans on going on their own budget journey so you can keep each other accountable and not just have it be one way. This way, you check up on each other and help each other stay focused and on the right path, which is your path, not their path. But you shouldn't be competing against each other, just checking up on each other and motivating each other to keep going. But again, you have to be honest with yourself and them or it won't work. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being better. So if you made a mistake or you spent more money than you should have, be honest and then work on getting better. Now, the last way I think can help you stay on track kind of goes with what I just said, which is give yourself room to fail and or make mistakes, as well as give yourself something to look forward to if you accomplish your goals. Now, remember, no one is perfect, so don't ruin your whole month because you went over in your budget in one area. In some cases, you might go over in one area but go under in another, which might cancel each other out or at least make the overage not as bad. And then if you do reach your financial budget or financial goals for that month, don't be afraid to treat yourself, of course, with something that is within your budget. So if you do go under your budget, maybe you can spend the extra money on maybe a nice dinner or something that you've been wanting to get for a while. But make sure it's something that you can do within your budget and not something that will make you go over your budget. Now, if staying focused on your budget is getting hard and you don't have an accountability partner, here are some options of people you can turn to. Now, I say this a lot and I will continue to say it. Go to a mentor or find a mentor who you feel knows how to manage their money. Now, again, all mentors are not the same. So make sure you're going to someone who it looks like, or you can find evidence of them managing their money well. Now, this may not exactly be an accountability partner, but someone who can give you their tips and tricks on how they stay focused and in control of their finances. This may also give you access to things and knowledge you don't know. It could possibly work better for you. So don't be afraid to switch things up if my advice or anybody else's advice is not working for you. You can also do research and find podcasts or YouTube videos with experts who are in the financial field who have more experience than I do. Now, two examples of people who I listen to are, one is Dave Ramsey, who is a financial expert who talks about living a debt-free life, who has 7 steps to getting out of debt. So he has a lot of great information that you can get, and he has a podcast, he has YouTube videos that you can find. And then there's another guy who actually worked with Dave Ramsey in the last few years. He's been on his own, built his own brand and his own identity, is Anthony O'Neill, and he has a podcast as well. He has a book. He has maybe 1 or 2 books about living financially free and going to college for free. And he has a podcast. He has guests on his podcast who are also working towards living financially free and not having any debt and living life the way they want to live life. So those are 2 examples of people that I listen to that you can also listen to if you need that extra help. Now, the thing is, they may not be available to talk to you in person, but they can still give you some great advice. What works for one person might not work for the next, so keep looking until you find what works for you. Getting your budget together and taking control of your finances may not be an easy task for a lot of people, including me, especially if you've never done it before or even thought about doing it, but it will be well worth it in the end. Now, I read this book and it said this: being uncomfortable isn't a choice. The choice is when. So do you want to be uncomfortable now when you do have something, or when you can do something about your finances, or later when you have little to no other options but to be uncomfortable about your finances? Now, the last thing I want to discuss in this episode are a few do's and don'ts when it comes to budgeting. Now, my first don't is don't set unrealistic expectations for yourself. Now, if you spend that $600 on food that I talked about previously last month, and you want to cut it down, don't shoot for $200 the next month if you've never done it before. Now, if you do that, it can be a lot easier for you to fail, which can make you unmotivated to continue. At the beginning, set yourself up so you can win, which will help you boost your confidence. So if you do want to cut that $600 down, maybe cut it down by $50 or $100. And as you keep going and actually achieving those goals, you can cut it down until you get to your real goal of maybe that $200 every month. Now, you also don't want to lie to yourself about your budget or finances. I talked about this throughout this episode as well. The only person it's going to hurt is you. You don't have to tell everybody. You don't have to tell their mama. You don't have to tell your mama about your budget. Just make sure you're telling yourself the truth and being honest with yourself. Now, the last don't is don't compete with others. Like I said throughout this episode as well, your budget is about you and you alone. Unless, of course, you are married and have a family, then it's about you and your family. Now, if you have an accountability partner, it's not about who spent the less money or who made the most money. It's about helping each other stay focused on what you set up for yourself, not competing and making yourself a competition with them. It's about helping each other and motivating each other to stay on your goal, stay on your focus goal. Now, my first do is to start where you are. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed about where you start. Everyone has a starting point, and it's not about how you start, but how you progress. Little changes will add up to make big differences. You just have to start. Also, you should find ways to still have fun. I said this earlier, and I think it's important to repeat again. Creating a budget is not about just spending money on the necessary things you need for life. It's also about being able to live a good life without having to worry about if your bills are going to be paid on time or if your rent is going to be paid on time. Now, this might mean dialing down on the way you have fun, but it doesn't mean you have to stop having fun or even do it forever. Now, there's this quote by Dave Ramsey, who, like I said, is a great person to listen to when it comes to finances. And it says, if you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. Now, to me, that basically means if you take this time you have right now and live below your means, pay off all your debt, make smart investments, you can later live a more financially free life with no stress or worries when it comes to your finances. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of people really want out of life. And at the end of the day, is to live a financially free life and be happy with what they are going through in their life. Now, the last do I want to give you is to trust the process. Now, it might look hard at the beginning, but if you stick with it and don't give up, you will reach your financial goals. Yes, you will mess up. Yes, you will fail at times. But as long as you keep moving forward and learn from your mistakes, you will be successful. And that's everything I have on creating and sticking to your budget. I hope this helps you along your financial journey. But as always, with my individual episodes, I have a challenge of the week I would love for you to participate in. Now, this is probably going to be very easy for you to guess what it will be, but I challenge you this week to start your own budget. Now, start with what you spent and received the prior month, then create a budget for the next month or this month. If you're watching at the beginning of May, this would be the perfect time to think about what you spent and what you made in April, and then make a budget that is good for you for May, and then you can continue with the rest of the months after. Now, if you already have a budget, or if you complete the above challenge of creating your budget, I now challenge you to create and accomplish one financial goal of yours. It could be spending less money on food. It could be making an extra $100 or putting an extra $100 towards your emergency fund, or it can be just saving an extra $200 so you can start investing in your future. Whatever that financial goal is, I want you to write it down, and I want you to create a plan on how you can accomplish that goal and then go after it. And with that, I would like to say thank you for listening to another episode of the Lazenby Experience podcast. I hope you was able to gain something from it to help you along your journey. Now, if you like what you heard today, please like, share, comment, and subscribe so I can know that you're listening and enjoying the content. Now, if you have questions, if you have comments, topic ideas, or even guest ideas, please don't hesitate to email me at lazenbyexperience@gmail.com. Now remember, seasons 1 and 2 are also available on all platforms you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else you listen to podcasts at the Lazenby Experience Podcast, just like you found this episode. Lastly, for my readers, I do have a blog that covers every individual episode that I talked about this season, which can be found at lazenbyexperience.wordpress.com. Now, within my blog, I also have articles from season 2, as well as articles from before I started my podcast. So there are a lot of other content you can read if that's what you're interested in. Again, thank you for listening to another episode of the Lazenby Experience Podcast. And as always, until next time, continue your journey until you reach your success. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Lazenby Experience Podcast. I really hope you were able to receive valuable information that will help you take actionable steps to get you closer to achieving your goals. If this is true for you, I would really appreciate it if you share this episode with others, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to continue receiving updates on new episodes. I truly am excited about how my experience, the Lazenby Experience, can make a difference in your life. Again, thank you for listening to the Lazenby Experience Podcast, and until next time, continue your journey until you reach your success.